And then at the end of the day, when everything works in tandem, you get a sale. And then we knew that the same model applies to different semiconductor companies across the spectrum. And from your experience of having worked with Microsemi and again after Microchip and Microsemi, now questions like that are very philosophical in nature.
Hmm.
But what does that imply? Is that over the last about 5 years or 6 years, the concept of revenue operations as a term has gained a lot of prominence. Segments like OTT and streaming, for example, um, RevOps as a concept has become very, very strong in the sense that
Shriram, the other thing that's happened to us over the last 1.5 years is the transformation of a company from a company that does almost anything that a customer wants to a more focused company now specializing in revenue operations. What are revenue operations?
so in order to explain revenue operations, we'll have to go a little backward in time when you and I were working for our first company, right? Cypress Semiconductor,
Yeah,
right? And we used to work on this model called a quality footprint select and a design win,
yeah,
right? We knew that hey, if we develop a funnel, all sales is a funnel. Marketing impacts one side of the funnel, and then sales impacts the bottom of the funnel. And then at the end of the day, when everything works in tandem, you get a sale, right? You get a design win that results into a sale. Um, and then we knew that the same model applies to different semiconductor companies across the spectrum. And from your experience of having worked with Microsemi and again after Microchip and Microsemi, the concept of a design win and a QFPS remains everywhere,
yes.
right? Now, similarly, in places that I worked with in Dell and in Lenovo, the very similar concept of a funnel that goes in, saying that, hey, there is always this first conversation, there's a qualified lead, and then, a qualified lead becomes like, a proposal, and then a post proposal stage, and then a sale then happens. Now, as the funnel becomes more and more predictable and more transparent with the availability of data, there is this feeling that hey, can I influence the sale at the end of the day? How much of a sale can I influence at the end of the day? Now, questions like that are very philosophical in nature.
Hmm.
But what does that imply? Is that over the last about 5 years or 6 years, the concept of revenue operations as a term has gained a lot of prominence. Very similar to how DevOps as a term has become very prominent in the field of digital operations into segments like OTT and streaming, for example. Um, RevOps as a concept has become very, very strong in the sense that everything that's got to drive revenues has to be completely in sync, right? And the leakage has to be very, very minimal, right? And that's what is the entire goal behind a successful RevOps organization. So, a revenue operations organization tries and ensures that at every point from one part of the funnel to another part of the funnel, the leakage is minimized. Now, what does that actually mean for a marketing organization and what does that mean for a startup? They want to ensure that they target the right set of customers. They want to target the right set of target audience, actually, not customers. They want to ensure that their communication is absolutely accurate to that particular target audience, and their follow ups are diligent and tracked. And if there are any customer objections that come up along the way, all of those objections are addressed in some form or the other, right? And this is a continuously evolving operation. Now, this is what constitutes RevOps, a loosely held term that can include but not um, be limited to having a digital marketing team, a web operations team, a telecalling team, a telesales team, a field operations team, and an analytics team, which is looking at this data in totality and figuring out what the hell is happening out there.
So a team that works in harmony and synergistically to ensure that customers are targeted and converted to revenue with minimal leakage.
Minimal leakage, absolutely. Now, um, when you look at companies that are that don't have a traditional RevOps kind of an operation, right? They have a sales team, they have a marketing team, and then they have an operations team, right? And all of them have multiple heads, and all of these heads are though reporting at the top level to the CEO. In a lot of cases, they might not completely be in sync because when they try to locally achieve a maxima to their goals, they are often at odds with each other. Like, for example, a very simple example being that a web operations team would try and ensure that there is maximum traffic coming to their website and their website is behaving with very, very low latencies. Mm. Sales, on the other hand, would try and ensure that every single person that comes in converts.
Yeah.
So for them, if a lot of traffic but unwanted traffic comes in, it's a distraction for them. They don't want so much of traffic. They're saying, why am I spending my time or wasting my time on traffic or leads or qualified leads, which I know will not convert, right? Why am I putting so many people behind leads that are not converting at the end of the day? Hmm? And the third angle is marketing and demand generation. Marketing and demand generation is working continuously on providing the lowest cost of lead possible at the end of the day. And though they are measuring both the cost of the lead and the cost of closure, their more closer metric to what they are is the cost of the lead. So they're trying to optimize the cost of the lead, right? And therefore, in a lot of cases, they are not in sync with both the web operations team and the sales teams. This is what we saw in a typical company that is into renewable energy
Yeah,
today,
absolutely.
right? And therefore, what we decided to do was to completely turn the problem around its head and say, hey, let's run a RevOps organization for you as a customer. Now, running a RevOps organization was very different from our initial objective of what we started out with. We started out by saying, hey, we'll be the best marketing advisory in town or anywhere else, and we'll be the best digital marketing company ever, right? And then what happened is that we figured out that hey, people are people already have good digital marketing firms. People already have good marketing advisories.
Many times their skill set is better than ours.
Absolutely, there's always somebody better, right? But then what we realized is nobody is intently looking at revenue operations for the customer
Yeah,
because they're all looking at how do I maximize my returns
yeah.
by maximizing my media spends, by being more creative, by looking at the communication part of things. Here is where we realized there was a gap, which is in terms of managing revenue operations for customers.
Yeah.
And then we set out to achieve what we called as zero friction revenue operations, right? Which is first we put in an organization in place, right? We put in our own tele teams, which of course anybody else has as well. We also put in a digital marketing team that sits right alongside the tele team, right? We also put an analytics team that sits right alongside the digital team. And then we put in a sales team that sits right alongside all three of these people so that everything that happens in the room is transparent between all the teams.
And many times there are managers who look at multiple teams. For example, you have a digital marketing manager also looking at the selling team. So they have multiple functional responsibilities.
Absolutely. And what happens is that what you're building over there is a single cohesive revenue generation unit at the end of the day. So just because there is a digital marketing person sitting over there, um, does not mean that that person is only responsible for cost per lead.
Exactly.
That person is measured on cost per closure. So all the metrics that each individual team is based out at the end of the day has a revenue component built into it. The marketing team has cost per closure built into it. Sales team has number of closures built into it. Tele teams have, you know, the funnel metrics built into it, which is like from the first interaction time to first interaction till qualified lead built into it. At the end of the day, when you build a cohesive unit, uh, and of course, web operations team is about eliminating friction from anywhere from within the web side of things, right? To ensure that there is zero leakage from one point of the funnel to the other. At the end of the day, when you build such a cohesive unit, by the way, this was one of the toughest things that we had to do because we had never done this before. We knew that in a utopian world it could be possible, but when we set out to do it, there were a lot of challenges. And happy to say that that became a cornerstone or a mainstay
Yeah.
of who we are as a company today,
Yeah.
right? And revenue operations today accounts for more than 60-70% of our revenues for our company today.
Yeah. A customer comes in and says, I want you to get me revenue.
Hmm.
And that's what we deliver to them.
Yeah, we say, how much is what we ask.
Yeah.
And that way, I'm actually very happy that when a customer says, I need revenue, we don't ask them, what is your marketing budget?
Correct.
We only ask them, hey, how much of revenue do you need?
Yeah. And then, of course, we try to optimize cost for acquisition and margins and things like that.
Hmm.
And at different points of engagement and maturity of that particular product, there are different metrics that we try to optimize also.
Hmm.
Initially, it might just get market share at the cost of margins. But over time, everything else matters. Like margins also matter.
Absolutely. See, we take the conversation away from saying that, hey, I can give you one telecaller, or I can give you a digital marketing plan, or I can give you like a lead generation plan. All of those things are commodities today. Anybody else can give that to our customer. Probably some of them can do it better than us,
Yeah.
right? So the way we tackle the entire question on revenues is we try and build a model for the customer that states, hey, if you have to grow your revenue from X to Y, these are the 3 4 ways in which you can go do it. The most optimal way that we would recommend for you is XYZ, right? Which is a combination of having a digital team in place, having a sales team in place, having a tele team in place, which is like solidly backed up with analytics at the end of the day.
Right. I think that has helped us to leverage our experience in running businesses and providing the best possible service to the customers, because we are not the world's best in any one particular digital marketing capability or growth marketing capability. But what we are probably is the world's best in being able to take a business problem and try to convert that into a revenue solution.
Absolutely. See, what is happening today is that unless you're a Fortune 500 firm, right? You don't have large teams looking at only one portion of your entire funnel, maybe say leads, or only awareness, or only consideration, or only preference, or only sales. Chances are that if you're a company with a bunch of products, not all the products are doing very well.
Yeah.
Some of the products are doing well with direct sales, some of them use a distribution, some of them have channel partners that are working on it. There is always a product that requires some kind of a revenue operation structure.
Many times there are products which are company favorites where everybody's trying to invest time and money. Typically, these are the new generation products, and old generation products, even though they may be cash cow, they are being ignored.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is sort of taken for granted that the so called cash cow products will continue
Yeah.
with very less focus on,
Yeah.
with very less company focus.
Right. So those are products that we typically love to adopt and nurture and help continue to grow.
Yeah. Now, Prem, coming to some of the questions that customers ask us on What do you mean by RevOps? And why is it so different from, say, a distributor or a reseller who's coming in today and telling me, hey, I will sell your product in my territory and you give me commissions basis each product you sell?
I think a distributor is primarily responsible for taking the product and fulfilling that demand fulfillment gap. Of course, they do demand generation also, but that's limited to a point. They typically work on margin based models. They typically are not responsible for the branding and the marketing portion of it, although they do get some allocation from customers. But our RevOps model is where we are responsible for end to end brand to full funnel marketing to lead generation, nurturing, lead closures, and we help in every aspect of this. And we typically don't work only on the margin incentive, but we have multiple different business models that we can engage with.
And best of all, it is done under the aegis of the primary customer's name.
Absolutely, yes.
It's not under the name of a third party or a
Third
distributor.
party entity, of
Mm,
course. And that also gives the consumer a sense of comfort that they still continue to deal with the brand or the with the main manufacturer.
exactly. And like you rightly mentioned, a distributor or a reseller um, becomes effective only if they're carrying a brand which has very good awareness with the target audience.
Yeah,
If there is no awareness, then a reseller model fails. In that case, is where exactly a RevOps model steps in.
yeah,
But because that not only takes care of demand generation, it also takes care of awareness to a very large extent.
yeah.
Absolutely. And what are some of the questions that customers ask you when you say that we'll do RevOps for you?
I think the most common question is, hey, can we work on a profit sharing model?
I think that's the biggest question that everybody asks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And that goes back to your earlier question on distribution as being the more standard model.
So, how do we respond to them today?
Well, if this is a customer that we have worked with, where we understand the brand and their alignment in terms of investment in the brand and investment in customer service, then we are open towards working in that model. As I said, we are flexible in business models.
So, we don't say no to it,
We
right?
don't say no. However, if the customer is only opportunistic,
Hmm,
then we have also said no in the past where we know that the customer is not aligned in terms of either patience or investment required or understanding what it takes to sell that product. So we have also said no to such customers.
hmm,
Typically, a profit sharing model will not be the first model that we engage in,
hmm.
but it might be after 8 months, 10 months of engagement.
So, essentially, we start off with
Fixed cost based.
fixed cost based structures, which are not uh, prohibitively expensive for a customer to begin with
Right,
from an experiment standpoint. And essentially, this is also something that the customer can set up in parallel
right.
with whatever they're running today.
Yep.
So it need not be plugged into their systems alone.
Yeah,
Now, the good thing with outsourced RevOps is that it can run independently of whatever systems or organizations the customer has been running so far. And that's something that we saw, um, in the sense that our RevOps is 24. It's actually about, it works 7 days a week. Our RevOps works 7 days a week.
yeah,
Our customer may not work 7 days a week, right? So we can work independently of our customers' working hours, and we can deliver revenue operations to them.
yeah. Because many times the weekends, etc., customers are from a corporate entity. They don't have people working, but consumers might want sales to
Support,
come. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So instead of having a skeletal support on weekends, we actually make it a point to work wholeheartedly on weekends and try and see if there is more funnel that we can convert on the
yeah,
weekends.
yeah,
Revenue operations is a combination of web operations, digital marketing, telesales, people on the ground, analytics teams working in complete sync with all of their metrics having a revenue component integrated into them, and all of their goals having a revenue component integrated into them. Outsourcing that means having a extended wing from a customer's standpoint that works independently of their existing sales and marketing engines in their organization. So the outsourced um, RevOps engine works independently, and it can deliver results independent of the customer's existing structures in place. Right? Now, how does revenue operations uh, team develop its working methodology? It starts off with a series of trials and experiments. It sets off by quickly figuring out what is working and what is not working, and expanding on the capabilities of what has worked so far, and ensuring that there is a very strong data based analytics engine that keeps telling the team um, what should they be doing every single day, because I think every single day matters in RevOps. It's almost like it's like you lose a day, you lose the revenues for the day,
Right.
right? And therefore, the entire thing about managing RevOps is that you got to manage your yesterday, you got to manage your today, you got to manage your tomorrow. So it's no longer a monthly cycle or a weekly cycle or a quarterly cycle. We run it on a daily cycle, and it runs 7 days a week for us.
Future of the agency, future of the agency business.
Now, uh, from all of our interactions with customers, we kind of feel that unless you're talking to like Fortune 500 firms or Fortune 100 firms, the average company that is doing good business anywhere um, does not feel the need to employ specialized agencies, marketing agencies, right? They don't want agencies who are specialized in doing search engine optimization, for example, because people are rarely concerned about one particular aspect of what's working for them or what's not working for them. They want somebody who can enable revenues, and they want someone who talks their own language. So when we go and provide that, um, we stand an edge, or we have an edge, comparative edge over other agencies,
Absolutely.
right? And that's where we would like to proceed, and that's where we would like to expand. The traditional agency models are slowly dying, and we are going to cover it in the next podcast on why am I saying that traditional agency models are dying.
We'll keep that for the next podcast then.
Yeah, of course. One of the reasons is,
Yeah,
RevOps,
yeah,
and there are several other reasons which are upcoming right now.
sure.